People sometimes say that I mention Shabbat too often. First of all, it's mentioned in almost every parasha. It's literally mentioned all over the Torah. If you look at it, if you look at just this week's parasha, we have the holiest place in the world next to the holiest creation in the world, which is the Torah, and Hashem could have connected the two with any mitzvah, with kosher, with brit milah, with tefillin, with nidah, with marriage, with having kids, with the specific things that the Kohen HaGadol needed to do, with the holy work that Moshe Rabbeinu had to do, the laws of court, the laws of business. You have 3 Masechtot in the Gemara that talk about business. Why don't you put that in there? Why don't you talk about making sure that people don't eat pig? Why don't you make sure people that dress modestly? If all the mitzvot, you have 613 mitzvot you can choose between Bet HaMikdash and Torah. Hashem says no. One mitzvah is the entire Torah. This one mitzvah is like 613 mitzvahs. That's why Shulchan Aruch says someone that violates Shabbat violated the entire Torah. But let's say you found a loophole. You can keep 612 mitzvot except Shabbat. It's worth 0. For bidiyuk 0, efes, nothing. They're considered a goy. They're considered non-Jewish 100%. But the Shulchan Aruch says someone who violates Shabbat is considered a non-Jew 100%. If he touches wine, you're not allowed to drink it. You spill it out. You can't even give it to your dog. If he says Kaddish, it actually hurts the person in Shemayim. It doesn't help them. You should not say Kaddish. You're not allowed to be a Chazan. It says a machloket if you're even allowed to say Kaddish on him. Rabbi Ovadia says, if it's a tzaddik livracha, someone doesn't keep Shabbat, you're allowed to lend him money with interest. You know, it's a big sin to lend a Jew money with interest. He says someone that's not keeping Shabbat, not considered Jewish, lend them money with interest. The chumrah of someone is not keeping Shabbat, people don't understand this. People mamash don't understand the significance of not keeping Shabbat. It's 86 pages of punishment for someone that's a mechalel Shabbat. 86 pages. Someone that drives to shul has a serious problem. The Torah source, it says here, ויאמר אדוני משה לאמור, ואתה דבר על בני ישראל לאמור, אך את שבתותיי תשמורו, כי אות אי ביני וביניכם לדורותיכם לדעת כי אני אדוני מקדישכם. ושמרתם את השבת כי קודש היא לכם, מחלליה מות יומת, כי כל העושה במלאכה, ונכרתה הנפש ההיא מקרב עמיה. 6 ימים נעשה מלאכה, וביום השביעי, שבת שבתון קודש לאדוני, כל העושה מלאכה, ביום השבת מות יומת. So it says here twice. Hashem said to Moses, saying, now you speak to the children of Israel, saying, however, you must observe my Sabbaths. The reason why it says Sabbath is not because there's 2 Shabbats a week. It's because you can't just keep one Shabbat and think that it's okay. For it is a sign between me and you, for your generations, to know that I am Hashem, who makes you holy. You shall observe the Sabbath, for it is holy to you. Its desecrators, someone who violates a Shabbat, shall be put to death. Shall be put to death is mot yumat. But Mot Yumat doesn't actually mean put to death. It means death upon death. It's two deaths. Mot Yumat means death in this world, early death, they're cutting their life in this world. And Yumat means they have no share of the world to come. For whoever does work on it, that soul shall be cut off from amongst its people. Violating Shabbat is the biggest sin in Judaism. Why does Hashem take it so offensively when we violate Shabbat? Why is it the same like idol worship? We said with idol worship you're replacing everything with nothing, right? So why is Shabbat such a big deal? Because technically Hashem created Shabbat only for us. It has nothing to do with Him. What does it mean? Hashem technically created the world in 1 second. He didn't take 6 days. It didn't take Him 6 days to make the moon. He didn't have to go call the city to get a title and get the construction company to come and make the moon and get another construction company to come, but they didn't show up, and then he got another one and they made the sun. No, He didn't need all of this. If Hashem is the same Hashem in the Torah, He's Hashem all the time, which means He's unlimited. He's unlimited. He can do whatever He wants. Which means that He created everything in 1 second. But over the next 6 days, He put it in the right place. Why did He do it 6? Why didn't He just do it 1 day? Or 1 second? He made, okay, so I made the sun, I made the moon, I made stars, I made the planets, grass, tens of thousands of different animals. Why did He take 6 days? Because it says, if I give Am Yisrael, which is the purpose of creation, 1 day a week, then every day is going to be the same thing. But if I give them 6 days a week, every day is going to be different. But if I give them 7 days a week, or on the 6 days, they could work just like I, figuratively speaking, worked. But on the 7th day, I rested. Not rested like He went to sleep. Hashem doesn't go to sleep. Hashem doesn't rest. He doesn't need to do exercise or wake up in the morning. So Hashem says, I want to give my children, I want to give them a feeling to be like me. I want to give them a feeling to be like the king. I want to make them a part of creation. So how can they can't feel like a God. They can't create anything. So what do I give them? I give them a feeling like I had on Shabbat. What's the feeling? Of not doing it, of stopping these things that I did, this creation that I did during those 6 days, I stopped creating, so they're going to stop creating. Which in essence means that a Jew is supposed to feel like a king on Shabbat. And that's why Hashem made Shabbat. But why does Hashem take it so offensively? Why is He so angry when we violate it? Because He's saying to you, I technically created the world in 1 second, or less than a second. In no time. Hashem doesn't have time. The past, the present, the future is all the same to Him. I created the world in an instant. Whatever an instant is, He created it in an instant. Right? But I minimized myself to stretch it out for you. For you to feel like me. For you to feel like you are part of creation. For you to feel like God felt on the 7th day. And instead of saying, thank you Hashem, Baruch Hashem for the Shabbat, I can't wait for the Shabbat, let me do great things for the Shabbat, and preparing for the Shabbat, what are you saying? Like that woman, Ichs, I don't want this diamond. I minimize myself, but you're not willing to minimize yourself, to stop your life. Hashem Yitbarach minimized and said, oh, For this Jew, I minimize myself. But he's not willing to minimize himself for Shabbat and stop his job. Or stop his television. Or stop anything else that he's doing. And that is very, very offensive. The Rambam says, whoever observes a Shabbat and honors it and indulges in its pleasures to the best of his ability, will receive an abundant reward in this world, in addition to the reward set aside for him in the world to come. In the merit of observing Shabbat, just so you know how big it is for TeShuva, all of one's sins can be forgiven. Even if someone had worshipped an idol, observing as the halakha dictates, he will be forgiven for it, even for idol worship. That's how strong the Shabbat is. There's no TeShuva without Shabbat. No such thing. The same Rambam says the mitzvah of Shabbat is equivalent to all the mitzvot in the Torah combined. Eternal connection between the blessed Holy One and us. This is Rambam, again, it's not me. Therefore, someone who transgresses any of the other mitzvot of the Torah is still considered a Jew. They forget to do prayer after they eat. They go with a woman they're not supposed to be with. Different things. They shave with a razor. Woman's not modest. Different things. There's unfortunately many, many sins we can make. It says they make a sin, they're still considered a Jew though. Wicked, but they're still a Jew. Someone who publicly desecrates Shabbat, drives on Shabbat, smokes a cigarette in public on Shabbat, or everyone knows he's smoking, is considered for all halachic purposes to be on the level of the member of the idolatrous nation. Not only is he not considered Jewish, he's considered an idol worshiper. Not being Jewish is already bad. We tell people, no, forget about not being Jewish is the least of your problems right now. You're considered an idol worshiper. You're considered the worst possible thing you can do. This is Rambam, Hilchot Shabbat 30. If a Jew does not observe Shabbat, he lowers himself to less than the status of a dumb beast. To achieve atonement, meaning to do TeShuva, he must be stoned to death. Just like we learned about Tzlov Chad. That's the punishment. In order for him to do TeShuva, he has to be stoned to death. If he is not stoned, the connection of his soul with God and his Torah will be severed. Therefore, this is the scary part. Therefore, executing him, meaning stoning him, is actually doing him a great favor. People have no idea that this stuff even exists. I don't beat around the bush. I don't tell you, listen, just keep half the Shabbat. Then let's see what happens. No such thing. This is what you have to do. Whether you do it or not, it's up to you. It's your business. It's never okay to sin. It's never okay to not keep. Hashem said it, we have to do it. First thing you gotta do is you have to start keeping Shabbat. Shabbat is when I make most of my business. I say, okay, so now it's not. You have to make sure that Hashem knows your TeShuva is genuine. People don't understand. Hashem is not kidding. Not kidding. We're still alive. We still have a chance. Like Rabbi Yisrael from Salat started Musal movement, one of the greatest minds that ever lived. As long as the candle is lit, you still have a chance of TeShuva. This is what Hashem is telling us here. I'm not kidding. Whether you had the Torah for a week, or you just discovered it today, or you had it for 3,000 years and you just ignored it, irrelevant. As soon as you find out Shabbat exists, you have to keep it to the best of your knowledge.